I just released my 7 dark horse NFL teams entering 2021. But there was one team that I left off that list, and that one team was the Los Angeles Chargers. The Los Angeles Chargers did not make my dark horse teams list because they are not a dark horse team. They are being hyped up. I think a lot of people are excited about the Chargers, and they have a right to be excited. There's plenty to be pumped about if you're a Chargers fan or just an NFL fan that likes good football. The Chargers are not a dark horse. They are a breakout team. The Los Angeles Chargers are the breakout team of 2021. Before I give you my reasoning for why the Chargers are my pick as the breakout team of 2021, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more NFL videos just like this. And make sure you get in that comments and let me know what you think. You can also check out more exclusive NFL content on Patreon. The 2020 Chargers were a classic Chargers team. What do I mean by that? Well, if you followed the Chargers for any period of time, you would understand that the Chargers typically perform pretty well, typically have really talented teams, but can't really piece it all together in the win column. That was exactly the 2020 Chargers. Top 10 in yards on offense and defense. They missed the playoffs. Not only did they miss the playoffs, they went 7-9. That's a classic Chargers team. Top 10 on offense, top 10 on defense, but they could not make the playoffs. They lost 7 games. 7. Not 4, not 5, not 6, 7 by 1 score. 1 score. 7 games. That was the Chargers in 2020. They only had 2 games where they lost by more than 1 score. That's 8 points. The Patriots game where they got demolished, and the Bills game where they lost about by 10. So the Chargers were competitive in just about every single football game they played in last season. And they could have won a lot more games than they did last season. Honestly, I chalk a lot of it up to game management, up to coaching, situational awareness, the guts to make a big time call in a big time moment. They just didn't seem to have that guts, that luck on their side. And a lot of that comes from the coach. I'm going to be honest. I don't think Anthony Lynn did a good job last year. And I think there is a fair reason why he is no longer a head coach in this league and is an offensive coordinator. Not saying that Anthony Lynn was all bad. He did have some moments that were good, but he consistently had games where he got completely outcoached. Take it from a Patriots fan. I mean, there was at least 2 or 3 that we played Anthony Lynn teams, and Bill Belichick coached circles around the dude. Situational decisions, awful. Situational preparation, horrendous. Brandon Staley is the new head coach. Reason number 1 why I think they're a breakout team. Brandon Staley, I think, is the next young, great head coach in this league. I love Kyle Shanahan. I love Sean McVay. I think Brandon Staley is going to be in line with those guys. That might be a hot take. I am that high on Brandon Staley. I think what he has done thus far with his defensive philosophy, with his scheme, you look at how the Rams played defense last year, and to be quite honest with you, the Rams were a talented defense. They especially had 2 extremely talented players, but they weren't like a generational defense with incredible depth, incredible playmakers all over the place. This had a lot to do with his scheme. So that to me tells me that this is a transferable scheme from team to team that will work and that will benefit the team that utilizes it in the modern NFL. This is a hybrid scheme. This is a diverse scheme. This is one that keeps your opponent in a guessing game. And this is one that uses a multitude of different coverages, looks. I believe that Brandon Staley is one of the best young defensive coaches in the league. But not only that, I brought it up this offseason. He is an offensive mind as well. He played quarterback. He understands the processing. And I think that's what makes him such a good defensive coach, because he sees it through the lens of the quarterback and he's able to prepare his defense through that lens. But he's also, as a head coach, able to relate to the quarterback in Justin Herbert, which is reason number 2 they're a breakout team. Justin Herbert had the best rookie season of any quarterback of all time, at least statistically. He had the most passing yards for a rookie ever. He had the most 300-yard games. He had the most completions. He also, last season, was the best under pressure in the league, not just as a rookie, overall. Justin Herbert has special talent, a special arm, great ability to move, and phenomenal size to go along with it, with a pretty good brain as well. Justin Herbert could take that step from, I think, a super high upside young quarterback that's flirting with top 10 status. I believe he is low-end top 10 entering this year. He could flirt with top 5 status by the end of the year. That's how talented he is. Year number 2, he could take that step. I think in an offense now that's going to be a lot more quarterback friendly and put less pressure on him. That was the phenomenal part about Justin Herbert a year ago. He was unreal despite all of this pressure for him in key moments to make big throws and big plays. Third downs consistently in bad yardage situations, having a bad offensive line in front of him, missing his stud running back for 6 games last season. I thought Justin Herbert not only was phenomenal as a talent, but he also was able to overcome situationally not a very good situation. Justin Herbert this year could take another step in his development big time. Now, I would not totally say that has to do with his stats. It has to do more with the eye test and the win column than the stats. Justin Herbert, the stats might not replicate, but his play may rise. You know what can help a young quarterback succeed in the NFL? A good offensive line. I know Chargers fans, it's been a long time since 2006, but don't you worry, because in 2021, I promise you, you'll have a better offensive line this year. I'm not saying they're going to be good. They might not be good, but they'll be better at the very least. Rashawn Slater in the first round, definitely high upside. Right away, could be an impactful left tackle, a good, solid player at that position, much better than Tevi. I'll just say that. Okay, left guard, Abushi. So far, so good. Efficiency metrics suggest that he was a top 30 guard in the NFL a year ago, and PFF graded him as such. Center, Corey Linsley, best in football last year in the same system in Los Angeles, which is nice. Right guard, you got Matt Filer, who's one of the most solid guards in the league. Like, he's not great, he's not bad, but he is an improvement. Getting back to the middle of the group in the league at offensive line, which is exactly what you want. And then right tackle, you know, Brian Bulaga. He didn't have his best year in his first season with the Chargers, but I do believe he will be better this year just because the rest of the offensive line is better, and I still believe he is a good player. So the offensive line is much better, and that overall is going to help Austin Eckler as well as Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert was the best under pressure, but that's not a stable metric. So you want to allow him to have more time, right? But Austin Eckler is the big one. I think we could see a big breakout performance from Austin Eckler. I've always been a fan of Austin Eckler. I think he is one of the true backs in the league that can play in all 3 downs. He could be the best third down back in the league if he wanted to, but I truly believe he is a 3-down back. Yes, he's a little bit small, but he is gifted. He is stronger than he looks. Pound for pound, I think he's one of the strongest players in the NFL, one of the toughest running backs in the league, one of the best at taking contact and continuing to move his feet forward. Also pretty elusive as well. I like Austin Eckler a lot. I think he can really perform as a top 10 back this year because he has that gifted ability as a pass catcher, but also the elusiveness as a runner that I think is going to complement this scheme quite well. So don't be shocked if Austin Eckler has a breakout season. Now, on the rest of the offense, I think Mike Williams is the guy that needs to take a step forward, and I think he will. Right, a couple years ago, he was a 1,000-yard receiver and 10 touchdown season, and a lot of people forgot that actually happened. It did happen. Remember, it did happen. That could happen again this year. I really do think Mike Williams is in line for his best season yet as a pro, and I think he's going to maybe even, this might be a hot take, he might even become the number one this year. I know Keenan Allen is superb. He's awesome. But at some point, Keenan Allen is going to slow down just a little bit because he is getting kind of closer to his 30s. And Keenan Allen is still an awesome player, one of the best route runners in the league. But you would like Mike Williams to take that X role and really be able to thrive on the outside, really as a deep threat for Justin Herbert, and I think he can do that this year. I think it is his season to do that. Jared Cook's not a bad replacement for Hunter Henry, although he's not quite Hunter Henry. I think he's a nice veteran presence for the young quarterback, and you have a couple promising wide receiver 3 options with Jalen Guyton, who has tons of speed, downfield threat, fits Herbert well, played pretty well last year, and also Palmer in the 3rd round. So we'll see who develops as complementary options, but I think overall this offense looks pretty good with a new scheme. Herbert in his 2nd year, a good running back, 2 good receivers. I think this offense will definitely score some points. Now the defense, I think, is where everything could kind of develop and change as a team. You look at this defense led by Joey Bosa under Brandon Staley's scheme. As I suggested, one of the best in the league, right? Not quite Bill Belichick level, but he's somewhere in that 2nd tier in this league today in terms of defensive coaching. And I look at this defense and see a lot of young names who could take a step forward. But before I get to those young guys, there is one player that returns in 2021 who could very well be the best player at his position, and we have not seen him in a couple years, but that's Derwin James. From what I've seen from camp, Derwin James looks back and ready to go, ready to roll. So if Derwin James is the player he was coming out and looked like he was going to be in this league as maybe the best safety in the league, this defense totally changes because yes, they were good a year ago, but they're changing to a better, more diverse scheme. And they're getting their best player back, arguably. A player that can play safety, strong safety, free safety, nickel corner, perimeter corner. The guy is covering Keenan Allen one-on-one. I don't know many safeties that can do that in the league. I'm just going to be straight up with you. He's healthy. He could be that John Johnson of the Chargers defense to the next level of that. And then you look at all the other breakout players as I was alluding to. You have Drew Tranquill, who I think could be a breakout linebacker. Kenneth Murray could be another one at linebacker who could really succeed with his athleticism in this defense. Nwosu on the other side of Bosa, maybe being utilized more as a blitzer and a hybrid type player in a way that Leonard Floyd was being utilized. That will be intriguing to watch. Jerry Tillery in the inside of this defense on the interior could take a step forward as well. And of course, you look at the secondary, 2 names, Asante Samuel Jr., of course, who you just drafted in the 2nd round. He is a playmaker. He is a baller. I think he'll succeed as a Darius Williams type player, a little bit undersized, but a playmaker. And then on the other side, Michael Davis, really, really underrated. I think he's a good player, especially in zone coverage. And I believe he's one of the most underrated corners in the league. So I think he's going to have a big year in this system as well. I look at this defense as one that doesn't look to be as talented on paper as Chargers defenses of like 2018. I do see this defense improving their scheme, having a lot of young players that are ready to prove themselves and have a big year and a jump forward. And I think that is going to be something to watch for you Chargers fans out there. I was never a fan of the Seattle scheme defense the Chargers were running with Gus Bradley or whomever they had. I was not a fan. I thought it was too predictable, and it put, yes, really talented players in simple positions to succeed, but sometimes you need a coaching edge, and I thought a lot of times when they did give up points, it was because their defense was too simple. That's just my personal opinion, but I think the Chargers are the breakout candidate this season. They have a ton of players on both sides of the ball that can very well break out. They have a new coaching staff. They have a young stud quarterback. I see the Chargers going to the playoffs this year. I have them with double-digit wins, 10, 11 wins this year. I'm not sure how they'll do in the playoffs. We'll have to see once we get there. But I do expect them to take that jump into playoff land in 2021. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the Chargers. Are they also your breakout pick? Because I know they're a popular one. But let me know why you think they're a breakout team. And if you don't, let me know why as well. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you do Gronk spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos just like this. Peace.